Meet Joel and his daughter Sarah trying to make ends meet in a town near Austin, Texas. Joel works double shifts and one day Sarah wakes up in the middle of the night and it looks like something weird is going on outside. Her dad rushes in and turns out there's a zombie apocalypse going on right now. They quickly decide to leave this town along with Uncle Tommy. They get stuck in the traffic so they take a shortcut, but it ends with a serious crash. So there goes the family road trip. All three run through the city center being chased by a lot of zombies and the goal is to get to the highway. Tommy buys them some time and stays behind to deal with the zombies while Joel runs with Sarah, carrying her on his hands. Well, it soon turns out it's a crappy tactic when you have zombies on your back, but thank God the military guy came and shut the bastards down. But no, what's this? The military guy is ordered to shoot Joel and Sarah. Bang! Tommy steals the show with a nice headshot, but it turns out that Sarah got hit pretty badly and she dies on her father's arms. End of prologue. During the intro we see some cities in quarantine ruled by the military, failed vaccination tests, riots all over the country, low food rations and an underground terrorist organization called Fireflies. And that's how 20 years passed by. Joel is a weapon dealer now working with a woman named Tess. They have some troubles with a local competition, so they decide to go and kill a guy named Robert who runs a business in the docks. When cornered, he tries to bargain for his life, but Tess is not in the mood for negotiations, especially after she was almost killed by Robert's hitman earlier the same day. So she just shoots him in the face. A few moments later, Marlene shows up and turns out she's a leader of Fireflies. Robert stole some weapons from Tess and sold them to Fireflies. Since they want it back, they need to earn it. The deal is simple. Take this little girl and smuggle her out of the city. They agree since Marlene offered even more weapons and gear if they succeed. Girl name is Ellie and for some reason she is very important. Soon after they start the journey, our trio is ambushed by military. They check for the infection and it turns out that Ellie makes enough destruction to get the gang out of this uncomfortable situation. But it also turns out that she was bitten and she is infected, but her body doesn't give a single F about it. And nothing happens to her. Now it all makes sense, right? Girl is resistant to the virus, so she can be used to produce the cure and that's why she's so important. Joel gets some second thoughts after finding this out, but Tess is like, do what you want, we're going anyway. So what can a man do? Going downtown means walking through some abandoned skyscrapers, and it turns out that there are different classes of zombies. Meet the clickers, blind and very deadly, and with a super hearing sense. The trio needs to find a way to the city hall, leave Ellie there and get paid. But it turns out that the guy that they're supposed to meet is dead, and Tessa's like, we have to carry on. While Joel is more like, woman, are you nuts? But it turns out that Tess got bitten and she has nothing to lose anyway, so she sacrifices herself and buys Joel and Ellie some time to escape and hide in the underground station. While back on the surface, Joel decides to go to suburbs to find a guy who owes him a favor. His name is Bill and it looks like that after the evacuation of his neighborhood, he is the only one left and he made himself a nice fortress out there and Joel gets cut by one of his traps. Now he is hanging, zombies are coming, and this doesn't look good, but it turns out that Billy knows how to make an entrance and saves the day with his machete. Ellie was hoping for a cup of tea and some biscuits, but Bill is more like, I'ma handcuff you right now. So the two got into a bit of rough dispute about hospitality standards these days. Bill is also not too keen on helping. But since he owns Joel, God knows what, he helps them to get to school where they might find a working vehicle. School building is filled with zombies and we get introduced to Bloater in an epic boss battle in a gym class. Turns out there aren't many working cars in the school, but when they escaped to the nearby house they found Bill's partner Frank, well, ex-partner I guess, and in his garage Ellie finds a nice pickup truck and it just needs a little push to get back on the road. After a charming road trip, the duo is ambushed by some thugs and crushes the pickup in downtown Pittsburgh. Turns out these guys hunt for people to kill them and steal their belongings. Nevertheless, losing a car means more walking. This time they head for the bridge, trespassing through the hunter's territory. They get divided when climbing on a broken elevator gets messy. Joel falls down and needs to take a way through the basement filled with zombies, but is back in the ground zero where he faces the real trouble when he gets taken by surprise and Ellie saves him in the last second and gets her first frag in IRL. But Joel doesn't want to get too emotional, so he takes a rain check on being a proud father figure, and that kinda kills the mood between them for some time. But not for long, since they need to bottle hunters to get out of this neighborhood. Joel gives Ellie a rifle and puts her in the sniper position, and that makes her so happy she almost smiles. They manage to handle the gang and Ellie earns herself enough trust to carry a gun now, so they sneak around until they find an apartment, where they find another grown-up guy with a kid handling a gun. Meet Harry and Sam. So they quickly establish that 4 is better than 2 under the circumstances, and they go to Henry's hideout. They share some food and Henry explains that hunters guard the entrance to the bridge, but while watching them, he noticed that it's less protected after the sunset. Turns out that Henry wants to join Fireflies. There's an abandoned radio tower just outside the city and any survivors plan to meet there soon. So under the shadow of the night, they manage to take off the guards and open the gate, but an armored truck pops up and hunters start to chase them. Henry can't handle the pressure and escapes, leaving Joel and Ellie, who find shelter in an abandoned bar, and through the back door they go to the bridge and run under a heavy machine gun fire until they meet a dead end. Ellie can't swim, but she's like, screw it, if we stay here, we're gonna die anyway. Luckily Joel reaches her in the water, but he gets hit in the head and loses consciousness. Joel wakes up on the ground and everyone is okay since Sam spotted them and they got help. Joel is still pissed at Henry for leaving them to die. Luckily Henry is kinda sweet talker, so he talks to his reason, pointing out that he was thinking about his little brother and he would probably do the same, plus I've saved you from drowning, so don't forget about that. And Ellie is like, yeah, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now if Henry didn't save us. Then they go through the suburbs and meet the neighborhood watch members sniping through the windows. Henry, Sam and Ellie distract the sniper while Joel reaches him and takes his rifle. Then he covers the rest while a horde of zombies attack them from one of the houses, but they manage to escape through the backyard and find a place to spend the night. But sadly, it turns out that Sam got bitten by a zombie, but he didn't tell nothing to the others. But you know how it works, so in the morning, he's already a full-time zombie. Sam attacks Ellie and Henry shoots him and breaks down.
Henry, no!
Then we skip to fall and find Joel and Ellie near Jackson City, where Joel's brother Tommy is supposed to be. They reach a gate and get surrounded by the locals, but Tommy shows up and hugs Joel. Turns out he married Maria, who is the leader of this fortress, so Tommy is doing fine here. They got electricity, they got gear, they got food, they got horses. Joel explains to Tommy what's the deal with Ellie and asks for help since they got gear and manpower. But Tommy is like, no can do'sville, bro, I'm not putting my men at risk. Joel gets mad, but they are interrupted by a bandit's attack. Joel helps Tommy to defend the facility, and Tommy decides that now he will help Joel, and that pisses off Maria. But that doesn't matter right now because it turns out that Ellie has already stolen a horse and rode off the place. They start looking for her and find her in a nice clean house, reading some teenager's diary, thinking, damn, those kids had an easy life. So Ellie is mad at Joel for trying to leave her with Tommy, and she's like, everyone I cared about died or left me, and now you're leaving me too. But Joel is like, don't you even try to get me into this father-daughter vibe. I lost my daughter a long time ago, and you're not her. This conversation gets interrupted as they are under attack by bandits. After dealing with them, all three jump on the horses and have a very quiet and awkward ride through the forest. And Joel decides he's not leaving Ellie after all, so she hops on his horse and they go to the University of Eastern Colorado and Tommy goes back to his wife. They are looking for a laboratory and fireflies, but the place is abandoned. They find a recording of the last survivor saying that all others left to the Salt Lake City. On their way out, they are attacked by bandits and Joel falls down from the balcony and lands on a rod that goes through his stomach, injuring him very badly. He is too weak to fight, so Ellie takes charge and helps him to get out. She gets him on a horse and they leave, but Joel passes out and things are not looking very good for him right now. A few weeks have passed and it's winter now. We see Ellie hunting alone for some food, While going after a deer, she encounters David and James. They look friendly, and they say they are from a larger group and they are starving, so they would like to trade something for the deer. Ellie is like, okay, if you have medicines, we can talk. So James go back for the penicillin while David entertains Ellie with a conversation. She takes his rifle and cools off a bit. Soon a clicker shows up and it turns out that David is not a bad hunter after all. Then they cooperate to survive the attack of the zombie horde, and David is like, damn girl, we make a good team. But let me tell you a little story. Some time ago, I've sent men for food to the university nearby, and they were slaughtered by a crazy man. And you know what? He was traveling with a little girl. Ellie grabs a rifle, but James is back, and he has her at the gunpoint. But David is like, okay, lower the gun and give her the medicine. We can't blame her. She's just a kid. Ellie runs away and goes back to Joel to give him penicillin. And she deserves a round of applause for a good surgeon job she did on him. But soon she spots men searching the village. Ellie distracts them and turns out David sent them here. She tries to escape with a horse, but it soon gets killed and Ellie is on her own now. She tries to hide but gets ambushed by James and he chokes her until she passes out. When she wakes up, she's locked in the cage and sees James is cutting a human body. David brings her food, but Ellie thinks it's human meat. But David assures her that it's a deer, so Ellie eats it. Then he is like, I can convince the others that you can stay with us. And since Ellie is a woman, he starts to drive this conversation into a very creepy direction, if you know what I mean. So Ellie tries to take advantage of that, but she fails. Joel wakes up. He gets angry, he takes his gear, he grabs some hostages and questions them about Ellie. Then he kills them and goes for the girl. But at this point Ellie is about to be turned into a dinner, but she starts yelling that she is infected and shows her wound. Then she uses the moment to stop James and escape through the window, but soon David catches her and they have a little cat and mouse play, which doesn't end very well for David. Then Joel shows up and hugs Ellie real strong, showing some of those father feelings for the first time and takes her out of this place. Takes few weeks to find that Salt Lake City hospital they heard of earlier, but they finally reach it. Ellie seems to be sad about something, so Joel is like, if you want, we can go back to my brother and just live a life, you know. But Ellie is like, nah, we have to finish what we started. On the way to the hospital, they fall down into the water and Ellie almost drowns. When Joel tries to bring her back, he gets stunned by a soldier. He wakes up in the Firefly's headquarters. Ellie is okay, they brought her back, so it looks like a happy ending. But Joel wants to see Ellie, and the Firefly leader says that he can't. She explained that infection mutated inside her body, so that's why she is immune, and we need to get the stuff from her to make a vaccine. And the surgery is starting right now. And Joel is like, yeah, okay, but this stuff is all over the brain, right? And I'm not a doctor here, but I think it's kinda hard to survive that operation. And the Firefly leader is like, yeah, sorry bro, but it's for a higher cause, you know? And Joel gets really pissed. But the girl is like, dude, I know her since she was little. I knew her mom. I promised her to look after Ellie, so don't you give me this I care for her attitude. But that doesn't convince Joel, so he loses the guard and goes into the lab, tearing this place apart on the way. Then he kills the doctor and takes Ellie. As they are about to leave the place, the Firefly leader tries to stop them by trying to talk to his reason one more time, but it didn't work. And next thing we see is Joel driving away with Ellie and lying to her that there are many people like her and that they failed to make a cure out of their samples, so they give up on this and we're just going home. We also see some flashbacks showing the truth that actually Joel killed the Fireflies and probably took humanity's last hope to deal with this disaster. But you know what, I'm a father myself and I'm not gonna judge him. And Ellie wants Joel to swear that what he told her earlier is the truth. Joel is like, yeah, I swear. And that's how the game ends.